My name is Marissa, but I'm also known as Sade. But from now on, you can call me Mrs. Obing. I've been married for 4 months. I got married in October, first week in October. So it's been about, is it 4? Yeah, 4 months, yeah. I own the I Do Crew GH. What we do is we deal in mainly bridesmaids gifts. So like if you're getting married, you want to surprise your girls, yeah, that kind of thing. And we also do like bridesmaids robes, gift wrap and packaging and stuff like that. We also do different types of gifts like birthday gifts, bridal shower gifts, baby shower gifts, we're just like a gift concierge sort of thing, yeah. So it was really simple, really sweet. We have this spot hideout place that we go to, like when we're dating, we're going to all the time, and that was where we had our first date. So he planned something, and then found a way to get me there, and yeah, and then he, I thought it was like a regular, outing, because we go there a lot and everything. So, and then he proposed there. It's really sweet. Really and truly, I had been planning my wedding in my phone notes for like a year or two, like 2018. Yeah. So I'd been planning, like I knew, so I worked with an event company in 2017. And so, doing weddings, at that time we were dating, so we're planning a lot of mainstream wedding, we're doing weddings and stuff, different events, but mainly weddings. So along the line, I always used to put myself in the shoes of the bride. I'm like, oh, when is my turn? I want it this way, I want it that way, because at that time I started getting, into the industry and, knowing vendors and things like that. So I started planning on my phone because I knew we were going to get married eventually. So I started planning it in my phone notes, I'll say, okay, my engagement will be like this, I'll use these colors, I'll do it here, that kind of thing. So by the time it was ready to say, let's go, like I proposed, time to get married, I had everything down. What I did was, I had all my events in one day, like the wedding, the all in one day thing, engagement in the morning, wedding in the afternoon, in the evening, afternoon. So I had like the vendors come in, and so like they're there for the whole day. I didn't have to do maybe one vendor for this, maybe engagement, I use these vendors, wedding, I use these vendors. So it was basically the standardized thing, your decor, your caterer, your drinks. Yeah, so I had them all. It was interesting. It was definitely interesting. COVID hit in March. Yeah, COVID hit in March. Unfortunately, I lost my granddad in April, and he was supposed to walk me down the aisle, So I was like, really, Grandpa? Really? Like, wow. And it was crazy. Like the Saturday before he died, we literally spoke about going to practice him, walking me down the aisle, literally, and then he passed on a Monday. So I was at a loss. I was like confused. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. In fact, I said I didn't want to have a wedding. I said, it's okay, I'll not do it again. Because I was really, really broken. I was like, probably we should just go and it's even COVID, we should probably just go and do a signing and just do something small in the hall, that kind of thing. I was so down for that because I was like, my grandpa has been like my father since, I was really little and things. So we're very, very, very close. And it was the biggest thing ever for me. So I was like, But then as time went on, my grandma, my family, everybody was like, Grandpa, he really wanted this, so you should still have it and honor him in a certain way. I know you're hurting and things, but there are ways around it, that kind of thing. So in the beginning, it was a bit difficult. The planning process halted. And plus COVID too, Akufo-Addo had put a ban on numbers and things like that. So it halted for some time. I stopped planning for quite some time. And then as time went on, we realized that, okay, they were going to open the borders, things had kind of settled a bit. So I picked planning up again. At some point I even had to speak to my dressmakers. I think I even changed the style and things like that, and I changed some things around. So I told them in the beginning, when I was still grieving, I told them that I'll need some time off because I've just lost, a loved one, but I'll get back to them. In terms of date, we had set a date for October. So that wasn't going to change because as of March, April, May, June, we knew that by October, COVID would have, calmed down a bit. So there's no need to change our date, unless of course when we are getting closer to that time, we realize that the situation is still bad. But thankfully, by August, September, things were cool and we were able to, do it. So when it came to the issue of refunds and stuff, I didn't have to go and talk to vendors and say, oh, I need my money back, because of the whole ban and the whole restriction on numbers and stuff like that. I didn't have to do that because at the time I knew that, I knew I wasn't, during the time that the ban was in place, my wedding wasn't going to happen in that time. It was going to happen way later on. And I felt like even some of the deposits I had made, it wasn't for these didn't have to do with numbers per se. Like maybe at the time, maybe 25 people, maybe I've paid for 100 or 200 people. But these deposits were made maybe towards makeup or towards the dress, those initial payments you just make at the start. So it didn't really affect me and, being on the vendors next. I heard some people had to literally, because obviously they had been planning their wedding from the previous year, and they had made their deposits the previous year. So I had a garden wedding. In fact, it's something that I always wanted. It was not easy to convince family about having it in the garden. Primarily because one, for instance, my grandma she's an amazing Sunday school teacher, at the church, amazing Sunday school teacher. And she was like, oh, we should do it in the church, we should do it in the church, oh, you were christened there, you've been going there all these years, that kind of thing. And I always wanted a garden wedding, always. So at some point I was considering it, but I was still, bent on having that garden wedding. So as time went on, I managed to convince her and convince everyone else that, we can pull this garden wedding thing off. I did everything in a day, like the engagement and stuff. So in the morning, we had the engagement indoors in the hall, just two families, just performing all the rites and stuff. And then we had a separate time for all the other guests, for the garden wedding. And that happened in the garden under a nice tent, I didn't do the whole walking down the aisle thing. I kind of scrapped it out a bit because grandpa wasn't there. But everything else was fine. The whole, I don't know if the whole, there's a type of way when it comes to weddings. There's this thing called theater style seating where, there's an aisle in the middle and then guests on the left, guests on the right. I didn't do that. That creates the aisle and natural aisles. I didn't do that. I had it where everyone just sat around the tables as though they were coming for a reception, and they witnessed us, exchange our vows in that manner. So it helped with the intimacy, small number, keeping everyone together, and just, watching us get tie the knots. Yeah, I wouldn't lie. Having it all in one day was exhausting. It definitely was. But one of the main things that I'll always hold on to, or when I'm convincing someone to do all in one day, I'll say you cut down a lot on cost, definitely. But in terms of tiredness, you'll be tired, definitely. So what we did was we had the engagement in the morning, we had the wedding, and then we had an after party. The after party was in a separate location from where the engagement and the wedding took place. Yeah. So in the morning, I remember I planned my wedding myself. Like, I planned my wedding, and because I was so involved in the process, I was trying as much as possible to tell myself, you know what, Sade, today is your day, you're going to have fun. Whatever happens, just take your mind off everything and have a good time, because it's your day and it's going to come just once. But in the morning, there were some delays, you know, and apparently after the wedding, I was asking my husband, why did it start late? Like, my family was ready, you know. He was like, the Ochami kept long, you know, that like from their side, and, you know, small delays here and there. So I was a bit, you know, apprehensive in the morning when time was going, because obviously everything was happening a day. I felt like if we started late, everything else was going to be late, and I didn't want anything to be late. So I was really apprehensive in the morning when they were doing my makeup. Like, when I say apprehensive, oh my goodness, I was doing fine. I woke up in the morning, I was so bubbly, my girls were there, you know, all their makeup artists and hairstylists had come, my makeup artist was there doing my mom's makeup, everybody was fine, we're doing well with time. And then when the delay started, just got so, I was so, and they were trying to calm me down. They're like, relax, you know, it's your day, whatever, they're going to wait for you. And I was like, no, you know, I was just so apprehensive. But then after some time, I finally relaxed. You know, I was like, you know what, I promised myself I was going to have a good time, whatever happens. So today is my day, I'm going to jam, let me jam. So those were the little things. In terms of exhaustion and changing myself, I had just 3 outfits: my engagement gown, my wedding gown, and then my after party dress. At every given time when I had to change, I'll change. But there was not so, everything happened at home. You know, there was not too much movement from maybe where we are getting ready to where we are having the reception to where we are going to take pictures to where, everything just happened in the same environment, the same space and stuff. So it wasn't too much of a hassle. But as for tired, they were really tired. Yeah. But it was worth it. It was worth it. During the planning process, or during the days leading up to the wedding, the scariest thing for me, is not so scary, but quite scary. My makeup artist was in Nigeria. You know, she had a gig there, so she had been there, and there was lockdown, and they shut the borders. So she was stuck there, you know, basically, and she was like, she was there, like, do you get it? Like, she was there, and I was like, okay. At that point, I didn't know she was there. You know, I touched base with her a couple of times, I made deposits and things like that, but I didn't know she was there. So I think a few weeks or a week before, 2 weeks before, like this, me messaging her and stuff, and she's like, oh yeah, she's in Nigeria, and I'm like, and at that time, I can't quite remember when they opened the borders, but I remember it was somewhere in September. And in my mind, I'm like, that time they hadn't opened the borders. There was anticipation and there was news that they were going to open the borders, but they hadn't yet opened the borders. And she said she was there. So I was like, will she make it in time? Like, because my wedding was like first week, like 3rd October. Will she make it in time? But she was assuring me that, no, I shouldn't worry. You know, she'll come. Whatever the case may be, she'll come. I shouldn't worry. So I was like, okay, cool. Me, I'm not about to stress. At the end of the day, I've signed a contract, and if you can't deliver, aside the fact that I'll get my money back, you know, like, at this point, what can come. I'll figure something out. I didn't want to add that to my headache, you know. But she was very assuring, telling me that I shouldn't worry, you know, and things like that. And as soon as they opened the borders, she was on the next flight. She was home, you know, and all that. So that was the scariest thing that happened to me during the process. But on the day of the wedding, the night before, so because I planned my wedding and I knew like everything, like the decor people and things like that, I was at home, you know, just chilling, and I'm hearing things like something about the chandeliers that the chandeliers, they've not, it was supposed to be like a bird cage floral chandelier, and I'm hearing something like the bird cage is there, but then the lights, they didn't bring the lights. Some things like, I was like, wait, what's happening? And they're like, I don't know, they've rented it, something. So I got so worried because that was one of like the main, in terms of decor, that was one of the main elements in the decor. So I was like, so I remember I locked myself in the room and I was so sad. I'm so, getting all worked up over the whole thing for no reason. But I mean, the next day, I looked out the window, setup was ongoing in the morning, and everything was hanging beautifully and things like that. But it was at the time, it was scary, kakra. First off, my mom ended up, giving me away. That was so beautiful. It was an emotional day for both of us. So there was not an aisle per se, because I told you I didn't do that whole aisle thing, but she gave me away, and that was like one of the biggest highlights for me. And we did this memory, we did this thing for my grandpa, we had a memory and things, so we did like a balloon release, balloon toss. He and my grandmother were married for about 65 years, so, and his favorite color was yellow. So we released 65 balloons, yellow balloons, at the end of everything. When we had cut the cake, we had danced, popped the champagne. The last thing on the program was like the balloon toss. So we did that, and, we just felt like the blessings of they too, their 65 years too was also, coming. We felt like, he was looking down on us, so that was one of the major things. And also, just saying I do to the love of my life, that was like the biggest thing too. Yeah. What I would say is, honestly, trying to please everyone. I wouldn't try and do that. Like, that's one thing I would change in the whole planning process, trying to please everyone, When I say everyone, I mean like family, and they'll say this. You know how it goes. They'll say this, and you just want to give in, but what you want in your heart. Like, what you want. But then, you just, like, for the sake of peace of mind and, all those things, like, so there's some things that you have to let go of. There's some things you can't have full control over. So if there's one thing that I could change, I would say that maybe me in my mind just always saying, okay, let me just do it like this, just because, let me just do it like this. But I think it's something that is our day. It's the bride's day. It's a couple's day. It's not even just the bride's day. It's a couple's day. So I think that you should we should try and put our foot down, like, and say that if it's so important to you, so significant to you, something that you should try and find a way and means of, letting it happen the way you want it. Look, honestly, you don't have to break the bank to get married. You really don't. Like, I can't stress this thing enough. You really do not have to break the bank. It's all about prioritizing what is most important to both of you. And it doesn't have to be a big wedding. It actually doesn't have to be. Like, you can do small and intimate, 100 people, 60 people, 50 people, and still have a good time, like still enjoy it. The most important people you want you have in your life are there, are celebrating with you, are sharing in your joy and things like that. And I know these days things are really expensive. I know weddings, gosh, the numbers just keep, it's figures, and it just keeps going up. So it can get a bit daunting, but if you take your time, and like I said, if you prioritize what is most important to you, you will be able to, have your wedding within your means, within your budget, without having to go and take a loan, without breaking the bank, without feeling pressured into doing something that is so mainstream. Also, for the brides, make sure whatever you do that day, you're going to have fun. Don't stress over the little things. Trust me, it's not worth it at all. As for the grooms, they are with their guys. They don't do much. If it's their cloth or it's their kaftan or it's their suits, they do it, good to go, groom themselves, they are fine, wear their shoes. We the girls, the hair, the makeup, don't let it stress you. Even if someone is delaying, try as much as possible to just calm down, because the way you start your day, the morning, is how determines the way the day will go. If you start on a sad note, trust me, random things to stress you will keep popping up, and by the time you realize, probably your exclusive shots, you didn't take them well, you didn't have enough time, you'll be agitated, apprehensive, always on edge, But if you start on a relaxed note, just, going with the flow, whatever happens, happens, you're just happy, and you keep that constant energy right from the start. You realize that by the end of the night, by the time it's time to dance, you're getting your groove on, you're happy, your pictures are flawless. So yeah, make sure that you really, really, really don't stress about the little things. Just tell yourself that today is my day, today is our day. We're going to have a good time no matter what. And it really helps. Yeah. I'm a newbie. I've only been married, 4 months. I'm fairly new. I really don't know it all. But so far, I know before we get married, we have counseling and things. We have like older people or even friends who've been married earlier, give us some really solid advice and things like that. But when you enter the marriage itself, theory is one thing, practical is another. So one thing I'll say, look, communication is important. Like we always hear it. We read about it, like all these marriage codes, all these books, all these things we hear, communication. Like it seems abstract when you are not in it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you have to talk through everything. But when you're actually in it, you realize how true it is, like, and how important it is. Communication is so important. Like, make sure that you talk through everything. Like, just talk through it. Even we are always, what the Bible says, I'm a Christian, it says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Don't go to bed angry with your partner, your spouse. Make sure you try and talk it through. You have a problem, just smash it before you sleep. Wake up the next day not feeling that resentment or that I'm not going to greet him immediately, I'll not do the breakfast, those kind of things, just because you're upset. It's not worth it, because when it carries forward to the other days, then it begins to take a toll on you guys. And if you don't nip it in the bud, it becomes a habit. It could become a habit. So I would say, really and truly, make sure you we try and do that as much as possible. Just if there's any issue, even if sometimes you have said something or have done something and maybe the person is your spouse is upset with you, maybe a day or two, that's it. It shouldn't go longer than it helps. It really, really helps. And also I would say this as well, from a Christian perspective. If you have any issues, any problem, just take it to God in prayer. Honestly, it helps. Like, there's no need to be a nagging wife, or there's no need to be a nagging husband. If there's a trait or there's something about your partner that you've noticed that you can't deal with or something, just pray about it, seriously. And if there's any situation you find yourself in, just always take it to the Lord in prayer, and he will turn it around. He will actually, and you will actually see the turn around, and you'll be like, whoa, wow. It makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. Just and just have fun in the marriage. One thing that we always hear is marry your best friend. Oh, marry your best friend. We've heard it, so many of these motivational speakers and things like that. Marriage counselors say you need to marry your best friend. I thought they were just saying it just because it was just like any other piece of advice. But the truth is, look, if you don't marry your best friend, it's going to be a struggle. Like, it's going to be an actual struggle, because after all the honeymoon bliss or phase has, sort of just died down and relaxed itself, then what? You have to have that person who always, you guys are laughing together, you're doing things together. As it was in your relationship, carry on with it in the marriage. Things shouldn't change necessarily just because now you guys are living under one roof. It should even be more fun now, So yeah, that's just it. That's what I've heard, and that's what I heard and what I was taught. I've taken it into my marriage, and I think by the grace of God, it's good. It was very good advice. I'm glad I knew like these things before entering. So yeah.